It'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. You have to do is practice. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. This is your world. You're the creator. Find freedom on this canvas. Believe that you can do it. Cause you can do it. I believe every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a, let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. You have to do is practice. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. This is your world. You're the creator. Find freedom on this canvas. Believe that you can do it. Cause you can do it. I believe every day's a good day when you. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice. There are no limits here.
And I'm going to switch us. All right, welcome Facebook and YouTube people. It's our 5/16 live virtual tasting of wines, along with our special guest Karen Chen today and her adult coloring books. But don't worry, they're not too adult. This is still PG. So I stole Jerome's joke. He made that in the past.
I tell it funny though.
It's true.
No, sorry. Mean joke.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that little intro. I clipped some Bob Ross and had that as a little starter intro. So we have a question or comment?
Yeah, I don't know if it's very delayed or...
There's about a 20-30 second delay, so it might just be the delay. So you guys are all seeing the past. We're in the future right now, about 30 seconds past you. So throughout the video, you guys can ask some questions and comments, and we will respond to those, but we'll be a little bit lagged behind you, so it might take a second. But please throw out some questions and comments throughout this tasting video. But like I say, we're here at Voluptuary and Lucid Wines. No beers, although I'm drinking beer. And we are tasting through a really cool lineup today of our wines. And Jerome can introduce you to those, and then we're going to introduce you guys to the adult coloring books in a second.
Yeah, or I'm not actually going to go over the specific wines yet. We'll go over that in more detail. But I'm going to show you what you have. Actually, get this real quick.
All right.
Mine's already got my notes on it. You've got a tasting sheet that lists out the different wines involved in the tasting here, and some details about us as a company. You've also got a little taster kit with all the different wines. They're not labeled because of logistical issues, but they go along with this here so that you can follow along with the lineup as you pull them out. So there are different options. You might have slightly different kits, but you've got something basically along these lines, and that's what you'll use for your tasting.
Yeah, so the lineup for today, which you may be able to see here on the camera on YouTube and Facebook, we have nicely backlit. Jerome has this really cool display case. We're going to be tasting through 5 wines, our L1 Skin Contact Chardonnay blend, and our L2 Urban Flora Rosé. Those are the 2 lighter ones. And then we're going to be tasting 3 reds, starting with our Pinot Noir. That's from Voluptuary, our only Voluptuary here today. And then we have our Lucid L5 Syrah, And our most popular wine, our Lucid L8 Wanderlust. So going to be a really cool lineup. We're going to taste through those, and we're also going to be, well, I'm not going to be because I can't draw, but I know people say everyone can draw, but I'm like the one exception to that. I literally cannot draw. So my brother Jerome is going to be coloring along with our special guest Karen Chen, and the lovely Sarah Smiles in the audience is going to be also coloring along. Yeah, that's Smiles you hear there. You'll hear her giggling later as well as Karen. Both have awesome giggles. So I would like to invite Karen Chen up here to introduce herself and her coloring books.
Hello.
Karen, hey, come on up.
Hi, everyone. Oh, wow. I'm a little shorter, so.
Oh, yeah.
I'm only taking up like half the screen. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Karen. I'm a local artist in Sacramento. I've been making coloring books since 2016. I've got a couple books. The one we featured this week for y'all to color along with is called Mandala Daydream. So if you have your copy, go ahead and pull it out and get started coloring. And we're going to do coloring and wine tasting, so it'll be really fun. I thought I'd share a couple different products of mine that I have. For those of you who are animal lovers, I've got 2 coloring books that are animal ones. Life of the Wild. This is actually my first book I published in 2016. I'll show you some of the images.
And those of you in our subscription club have likely received a copy of
yes.
this. A couple of Karen's early books have gone out with the monthly subscription.
Right. This book and this one. If you are a member, you shall have received both of those. And then for the mandala lovers, we've got a couple options. We've got the Mandala Daydream, which is the one that y'all will be coloring in today. Or feel free to color your previous in other books if you have other ones. A Mandala for Peace. This is, a lot of the images are really meditative and just, I find it really relaxing coloring different patterns. And just, it's nice to finish a piece and feel like you've done a great job. And then...
That's nice for these days.
Oh, yes. And then my latest book I published about last month was Mandala's Secret Garden. This one has floral patterns with mandalas. And so like this one is like a mandala tree, for example. And there's lots of flowers that are actually mandalas, but also flowers. So these are just some of the books I have. And I thought I'd share some cool news. I actually haven't shared it with anybody, so this is the first. But in a couple weeks, Magic Ocean will be coming out. This is my first book that's an oceans creation book. And so I thought since we'd be coloring and doing some wine tasting, I'd share like what I like to use to color. Some people prefer markers, and that's totally fine. If you do use if you use markers to color, I'd recommend putting like a white piece of paper underneath so there's no bleed through. All of the pages are single-sided, so that does help, but I still just recommend sliding a piece of paper underneath. And if you, my personal favorite coloring is with Prismacolors. So Prismacolors color pencils. So I have a set of 72. These are kind of more expensive pencils. They kind of run $1 a pencil, but I really recommend it. I've had this set since high school, so it does last. It's worth the investment if you're really getting into coloring. The reason why I recommend these pencils, they just kind of look like regular color pencils, but the difference is when you color, you can actually blend really well versus some of the other color pencils out there. You won't be able to blend so much, which is also fine. But if you want to try more advanced coloring, I would recommend getting Prismacolors. So that's me. And I'm really excited to be here today and wine taste with y'all. So
yeah, looking forward to it too. Here, I'll step back so you can step through. And
all right.
And I just wanted to say why Karen was up here as well. And as I said, we've had her now for 2 months for the monthly subscribers, and she's somebody we're going to continue to partner with, but things like this and with her books. You guys should really check her out. Does awesome work, and we pair with her also because you kind of see it in the books, but has that same ethos and approach as us. She's a big part of the community, gives back. Like you see her everywhere, like like
local
People
stores,
knew her at like
but
the, you know,
farmers
the.
markets, things like that.
Well, I was gonna say like the yoga studio we did a
Oh,
pouring
yes.
at. We were at like a tango place, and they knew her. You know, it was like, hey, that's Karen. But she also does things in addition to these coloring books. Like she has a line of greeting cards.
I do.
correct?
I do
And
have
so-
fun greeting cards that are, they have, a lot of them have puns in them. Yeah, if you want to check out my Instagram or my Facebook, it's Karen Sue Studios. Yeah, and that's the handle, and yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I do give away books sometimes, so if you check out the Instagram, I think I'm going to be doing one soon, so wink wink, hint
Does
hint.
the little promotion.
Check it
Yeah,
out.
Due to space concerns, she's going to be sitting over on the couch with Sarah doing some coloring, and Kevin and I are going to be over here, but we'll pan over and show some art as we go as well.
Cool, and we'll show you what we finished after the show.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So sweet, I'll pop back on air here.
Thank you, Karen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Karen. And yeah, again, please follow her Instagram, Facebook, and whatnot, and check her stuff out. So now we're gonna get a little wine in your glass, and we're gonna go on to some side subjects and give you guys a tour later and tell you more about subscriptions and future tastings. But for now, I think it's important that we talk about it all with wine in the glass. So you can grab that first vial you have in your tasting kit and pour that in your glass.
Oh, I should have left that there for visuals.
Yeah, that's all right. So pour that first wine. Thank you, Jerome. This is our Lucid white wine. This is our L1 Skin Contact Chardonnay blend. I say Chardonnay blend because it's mostly Chardonnay with a little bit of Malvasia Bianca. And the Malvasia adds a little extra aromatics of orchard fruit and tropical fruit to Chardonnay's already sort of mix of tropical and crispness. So really well-rounded fruit structure. And then you notice while it's super fruity, you almost think it might be sweet when you taste it. It's very refreshing. It's not sour, but it's not sweet. It's just, it's fun, it's refreshing, it's laid back. So this one, you know, with Lucid, I really tried to make all of the wines fun. I want them to be easy drinking, something you can drink down by the pool, by the river. But the techniques behind them are actually really cool winemaking techniques that all the cool natural hipster wineries down in the Bay are doing. And so, you know, skin contact, I call it that because the main technique in this wine is fermenting a white grape on the skins, which is a technique only normally done on red wines. But doing it on a white wine gives you a little extra intense aromatics, as well as a little bit more of a full-bodied intense flavor, which is why this has so much aromatics and beautiful richness to the flavor. So cool techniques. This is organically grown grapes, mostly from down in Contra Costa County, but a little bit from Bokish Vineyards in Lodi. We just had Marcus Bokish, awesome man and a big pioneer of grape growing and organic grape growing in our region here around Sacramento. They also have a really cool winery. You should check their stuff out. Marcus joined us last week on air to talk about his vineyard and our wines from his vineyard. So thank you, Marcus. So yeah, that wine, that's kind of the, you know, the nitty gritty to it, the winemaking geekery. But then there we go. We were missing Jerome a bit. Cool.
I'm sorry, I'm coloring.
Yeah, Jerome's coloring away.
I need to watch you color.
I'm still paying attention though.
Yes. So yeah, you should all be at home slightly distracted coloring while you drink as well. I find that art tends to get better when you have a little bit of wine in you, or at least you think it's better, which is also important. So for my wines, I not only talk about the wine itself, but I do pairings. Food pairings, but also other pairings. So for this wine, my life pairing is spring and summertime, hanging with your friends, hanging out by the pool or lake, relaxing by yourself in the evening. And I think right now there's probably a little more relaxing by yourself in the evening because of COVID. But, you know, virtual hanging with your friends in the summertime. It's a very good, refreshing wine for that.
It's a good one to connect over long distance. So.
Exactly. Which is something I want to just briefly mention I'm really appreciative of, is that these live tastings, one of the number one feedbacks I get from people is that it's allowed them to have an excuse to connect with someone. A family member, a friend, someone's birthday, someone's anniversary, you know, it's just a way to like have an excuse to gather. And so they'll watch our live video, while tasting the wines, and then maybe they'll have their own side Zoom thing going on where they're chatting on the side while watching us, and it's allowed people to kind of reconnect and have a good excuse to do that.
Yeah, every week we have people not only up and down the coast and all around the greater Sacramento and Bay Area, but all over the country. You know, big groups of fans in Maryland and Pennsylvania and Minnesota, Florida, New York. So tasting along with you right now are people all over the United States, not only in little groups, but also just, individuals connecting with everybody else.
Yeah.
So shout out from far and wide in the comments.
Totally true. Yeah, it's okay, my other pairings for this. Right. So my music pairings for this are Follow the Sun by Xavier Rudd, a really cool, laid-back Australian artist. Just very relaxing, but also like life-affirming. It's like get your bare feet in the sand kind of music. And Sunshine by Atmosphere, which is a song about being hungover, but then embracing the beauty of sunshine in the day. So 2 really cool songs. You can check those out later. I'll post those in the comments after the live video.
We're just starting to do, as you can see from the little Bob Ross video, a little more slightly advanced computer work. So hopefully we'll be able to start working in things like the song pairings to go along with the wines in the future.
Yeah, I thought about having them play while we're on air, but I was afraid that the music industry folks would come after me if you start playing copyrighted stuff.
Oh,
so I got paranoid. I figured I could get away with a Bob Ross video clip, but PBS isn't too vicious. They probably won't come after me. So, pairings. Other than music pairings, we have a literary pairing, and it's from Rachel Carson, and it is A Child's Wonder is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It is our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring, is dimmed and even lost before we reach adulthood. If I had influence with the good fairy who is supposed to preside over the christening of all children, I should ask her that her gift to each child in the world be a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last throughout life, as an unfailing antidote against the boredom and disenchantment of later year and the apocalypse and COVID. The alienation from the sources of our strength. I may have slightly paraphrased that last part. Rachel Carson, awesome environmentalist and writer. Check her stuff out. She's both someone... She was who got DDT banned. A terrible pesticide. One of the first environmental activists, also writer. In a great tradition.
You sounded really passionate when you were talking about her the other day.
Yeah.
She was new to me, somebody who knew well.
She's one of the pioneering environmental activists, and I really follow all those activists for a long time, and Edward Abbey and John Muir and stuff. John Muir was before her, of course, but she was in the modern era, one of the first ones in the middle of the century. And one of the first people to recognize that pesticides can be really terrible for the environment. And DDT was a really bad one. It was first used in wars as a chemical attack thing, and then it was used as pesticide later. And it took her pointing it out and emphasizing it, kind of muckraking, to show that this also caused cancer in people and killed animals, which is like kind of obvious. We used it as chemical warfare.
Yeah.
But she brought that to the public's attention and got it banned. And as someone who most of our grapes have been organically grown historically, and we're now actually, as of this year, all but one vineyard, Cooper Vineyards in Amador, which is a really freaking awesome vineyard, everything else was organic. As of 2020, all the grapes I'm planning to buy are organic. So organic grape growing, natural and organic winemaking is really true to my heart. So I've got to quote Rachel Carson. So that being said, lastly, food pairings for this. White sauce pasta, I think, goes really well with this because while this has a richness, but also an acidity that can cut through a rich sauce. But also, something more laid back, a citrusy salad or something that more like vibes with the flavors of the wine is also a good pairing. Do you have any other?
Yeah, and kind of on those same notes, I think it goes well with a lot of really light, crisp, either hot day things or seaside things. So anything seafood or shellfish, citrus, like cheese, apple, pear, fruit plates. It can go just about anything that you would have, on a trip to the coastline or out on a picnic would be a real good pairing with this.
Yeah.
Not only for the life experience, but just the mineral notes, the citrusy notes, some of the light fruit notes, like orchard fruit notes. That go real well with a lot of those things.
And I think the fact that you referenced so many different flavors there in your pairing, and so did I, speaks to the fact that this wine is diverse and multifaceted, that it can play with different flavor influences.
It's a white wine, but you not only the Chardonnay, but you got the Malvasia Bianca, which is off normal. You got the Skin Contact, which is off normal, and it's aged on lemonwood and applewood.
I didn't even mention it. No, the new vintage has applewood, but the last vintage was lemonwood and oak.
Okay.
So yeah, it has a lot of kind of crazy influences you normally wouldn't see in a white wine. I don't even mention it because my wines get so weird I can't mention all the weird techniques I put into them. The point being to just create cool flavors though, but it can create some cool versatile wines. I think Smiles Miles has a question or comment from the audience.
JB Hall says, yum.
Yum!
I love the L one. Very easy drinking.
Sweet.
Thanks for joining us. She's a mermaid, so I think she's our only one amongst our crowd right now.
Nice.
So
Yeah. Mermaids are big fans of the L1, and JB is awesome.
it's a seaside type of drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect sense.
It's a perfect pairing for a mermaid. So, yeah. That being said, that's first wine. Let's move to the second wine here. We have the L2 Urban Flora Rosé. And, I guess before we move into the second one, you guys can pour the second one in your glass. But let's see what these guys have been creating. Does anyone want to show a little preview of your coloring books? Maybe pop up on air and we'll show it on camera here.
Or I'll do mine before I do the pouring here.
Oh, that's a great one.
So I did the one that I think was an eye, but instead of doing it like an eye, well, I guess I did it blue in the middle, like me, but it's more like a sunburst around that. Actually, that could be my, bloodshot eyes from the weed beforehand. But either way, I was kind of doing it more geometric than realistic.
Nice.
All
right,
right.
Katie,
Well,
got
he's made a lot of progress. Mine is, I know it's not really fair because it's from my Magic Ocean book, which is actually not out yet. But, so, oops. But here I am. I'm coloring. It's a fish, and the tail turns into flowers. A little slower on the coloring. I'm trying to blend. So I've got these 4 coloring pencils in my hand. These are purple, pink, violet, something like that, and I've just been blending them all together. So that's how far I've gotten.
Nice. All right, we got Smiles Miles showing hers now.
Hello, everybody. So mine is from the Mandala Daydream, and I'm coloring in a beautiful desert scene. It's coming along. Don't judge it too harshly. I still have a lot of work to do.
Cool. I
Oh,
like
thanks.
it.
Thanks.
It's very like desert sunset colors.
That's what I was going for.
It's nice. So, yeah, cool stuff. Thank you everyone for your coloring.
And send in pictures of what you guys did. If you don't want to do it work in progress like we are, when you get stuff done, post them. I don't know if you could post them in the comments, a video or
Yeah, people could post take a little photo of your coloring thing and post in the comments for sure. Share it with us and yeah.
Kevin's the IT guy. I can barely work my phone.
Yeah, that'll work and that'll be awesome because that way everyone can see what everyone's doing. It's fun to share and fun to the comments and questions are really what make these live videos awesome. We get so much cool interaction every show. We get a couple of questions and a couple of comments and stuff. So
And just connecting with everybody. It's fun to see all these different people ordering and passing it to friends and neighbors and family and just watching it, kind of grow a community around this. It's fun to be a part of that.
it's true. So, all right, second wine. We'll pop into this one. We have our L2 Urban Flora Rosé. This is the new vintage, 2020. I keep doing that. 2019. 2020 would be some pretty futuristic wine. But the 2019, you're going to notice on this wine, it's got that same style as last year. A lot of watermelon, strawberry, cherry fruit just bursting out of the glass. Super aromatic, super refreshing to drink. There's a crisp acidity to it. There's also a lusciousness where people always say, oh, is there a little bit of sweetness to this? You know, it's crisp, but it's also almost a little sweet. There's no sweetness. There's zero residual sugar, but there's so much fruit that you almost perceive sugar because it's so fruit forward and so aromatically sweet. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of this wine to me. And
It's a total summer wine, and that's my personal opinion. It's great for when it's just, like I said that about the white, but even more so, this rosé is like when it's steaming hot, you're on the front porch because the house is too hot and having to shake out your shirt, you know, you're floating down the river. Beautiful wine for that. But also our sales kind of trail off a little during the winter months, and then when it hits summer, this thing just goes off the charts because it's just what you want to drink, you know, gardening.
We have a comment or questions, Miles?
Yeah, Tiffany Collins says, I like this one a lot. Good summer wine.
Yeah.
Very relevant.
On point, Tiffany.
Yep.
You're very clever.
Well,
very
and
charming.
because the timing was, there's a lag, so chances are she said that without having heard me do it.
Oh, totally. Yeah, no, it's just true of that wine. That is, I mean, that was how I intended to make it, and it totally played to it. Even cooler grapes, like 2019 was an awesome vineyard. Vineyard of a guy I know that I helped make wine for. 2020, I worked with Cooper Vineyards, which is a Barbera grower they are literally the best Barbera grower in the U.S. They've been awarded best grower in California multiple times. California State Fair last year gave them that, and they are most famous for their Barbera.
You said that was the one vineyard that you got from that wasn't
Yeah,
organic?
the only
currently?
non-organic vineyard. But
Seems
they're
like a
just
reasonable
so
exception.
freaking good.
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't not get their Barbera. Oh, you know, so
Right.
so I worked with them. Really cool growers, just really high quality. Dick Cooper has been growing grapes for like 40 years. He's one of the original grape growers of our region. So,
Wow.
really cool stuff. And then that's from up in the foothills in Amador. This is a barrel fermented Saunier style rosé. So for people who are into the geeky winemaking stuff, that means Saunier comes from the Latin. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know the Latin word, but the root meaning is to bleed, and it means when you have grapes, you have skins and you have juice, and you bleed off the juice from the skins, and you separate it that way. So the juice is what you ferment into the rosé. What you leave behind with the skins makes an extra concentrated red wine. So our red Barbera is extra concentrated by having Saunier'd off the bleed wine, the Saunier wine. And that makes the bled off stuff, which is from the juice, super light and fruit forward because it's not so heavy from the skins. The skins, it's like a tea bag. It extracts all these tannins and bitterness, which makes a red wine like a red wine. That juice that we bleed off stays light and fresh and more fruity.
So kind of the opposite of the skin contact, which is a white wine, which are normally done without the skins, and you added the skins for more body and tannins and floral notes. And then the rosé is what's normally, or it's a red wine normally done with the skins, but you did this without to draw out the the color and the taste notes and the.
Yeah, so that is a really good juxtaposition. It's like a Venn diagram or like a two-row, two-column comparison, like red grape, white winemaking technique, red wine making technique.
Your wine matrix.
Yeah, it's like a really good example of the difference between the grape source and the winemaking technique leading into that. So, so that was our Barbera Rosé. Pairings for this. Life pairing is very overlapping with the last one, but this is more sunset drinks with friends, hanging at the beach, festival life. Bummer, all the festivals got canceled this year, so this is not a good pairing. Virtual dance parties, I don't know.
There's still
On the internet.
Yeah, there's going to be a virtual Burning Man, so maybe this is the wine you drink at home while you're going to virtual Burning Man. I don't know.
Well, there's still a lot of things along those lines that you can do. I mean, rafting down the river is still something you can do. Picnics or hanging out in the hammock. This would be a great one for gardening around the yard. You don't want to drink a red. You want to have something nice and like fruity and refreshing. What was that, Karen?
I was gonna say outdoor movie nights.
Outdoor movie nights, I like that.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And the rafting is a good idea because you get those donut rafts where you can like have your feet in the middle and it's like 6 foot circumference. And that way, like, even if you bump against another raft, you still got that 6-foot separation. You know, that...
Oh, yeah, I don't know if you're allowed to drink while you raft. I didn't suggest that, sorry.
Yeah. No, I think it's actually technically legal on the river. It's just not legal on the shore afterwards. It's weird laws here in California. So, that all being said, the music pairings for this. Lamar by the Beautiful Girls. That's a very summertime music song. And then Revolution, Lazy Afternoon. Kind of chill reggae. It's about like relaxing on a Sunday afternoon kind of thing with your girl. And yeah, my literary pairing is from Tom Robbins from his book Jitterbug Perfume. This is an awesome book and also just has really good quotes in it. Never underestimate how much assistance, how much satisfaction, how much comfort, how much soul and transcendence there might be in a well-made taco and a cold bottle of beer.
That'd also be a great food pairing for this.
Taco is actually on my food pairing. Tacos, especially like seafood tacos, shrimp or fish, ceviche, and also Thai food. I think this is a great pairing for Thai food.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, because of those light, fruity, almost sweet notes from the fruit, it pairs with not only those types of fruits, anything that has watermelon in it or strawberry or something that has those same kind of floral notes, Thai holy basil or mint, but also the things that would go with those type of flavors, things that are more hot, Mexican food or Thai food, things with spice and herbs and fruit, not as much, your Mediterranean type of stuff that you would have with your dark reds. This is with something that also you would eat in the heat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
eat in the heat. All right, cool. So that is our second wine. You guys can pour yourself the third one now, but while you're getting your first taste of that, before we get into describing the wine, we're going to introduce you guys to the tasting kits and the subscription products here real quick. And while we're at that, we're going to give you like a super brief tour of the winery. This is going to be a few minutes aside here, so you can keep drinking while we're showing you this, keep coloring, and
do you want me to handle both of them, and then you can just do some comments?
Sure, yeah. We got
So
this.
Sarah's going to help me here with the cameras, as you guys have seen on previous episodes. If I do that, I'll turn something off. So and we got this one as well. I'll just stay right here and show you. So this is the winery, other than what you saw there, and a little bit of storage up front. We're only 1,000 square feet. We're one of the smallest wineries in, around. I don't know if there are any smaller. And everything is done here. The grapes are brought in the field bins and then made into wine and barrel fermented, bottled here, labeled here, corked here, packaged here. Everything is out of here. Tasting room, when the situation allows, the filming, everything is done out of this facility. It's basically where Kevin and I live these days. So it's kind of interesting to show because people don't expect us to be in this kind of a space because we're semi-legitimate at this point. But it's really a testament to Kevin's winemaking and just us trying to, band together and survive. So next I'm going to pivot over here. We're going to go past Karen doing a little coloring.
Hi, Karen.
And then show you some of what else we have going on here. So first I'm going to show you some of the gifts that come along with the subscription packages. And I won't go over all of them in detail this time. Flip this one on for you. But they're all made by local artists like Karen or Marcus Ambrose Crafts, Israel Family Farms, Erin Botto, she lives over by Trader Joe's. I put these together, but got various gifts. You get a different gift each month along with your wines. We've got a bunch of different options depending on how much wine you want, which label you want, and it comes along with free delivery. So it's a cool way to give back and get something useful. And the wines, to be honest, they come across at better than list price most of the time, even not counting all the gifts and everything. And You'll be always the first one to get new wines, like when we debuted the rosé, or get things that are on reserve, free entrance to things. Most of you this week also got free tasting kits. So we try to give you the VIP treatment because you're tying in with us for the long term. We all want to profit together. Next thing I want to show you, a little segue over here to this, is the different tasting kit options. So we started by just doing these little tasters here. Your 5 little shots equals about a glass altogether. And for $8 plus shipping, or you could pick up here for free. Or if you get delivered and I'll roll around this cool electric bike and bring it to you. You get to take part in this whole thing. So it's a pretty good deal, and it gives you a chance to get out without getting out. Stay safe, but experience something. The next tier we moved up to, and this has become our most popular option, is kind of the date night or couples set, or if you're just lonely and like to drink, you know, you can do 2 sets and then a bottle along with it. And those are about $30 to $50, and they pretty much always come with a discount, which you'll get on the website once you sign up. And it's got all the same 5 wines, and then the bottle will be pre-selected from the lineup. If you have some particular taste, you really like whites or you know, whatever, you could put that in. But generally, it'll be picked by the winemaker to accent the lineup. Your party pack, family pack, long-term investment, whatever you want to call it, is all 5 wines, full bottles. So this one is the best deal money-wise per amount of alcohol that you get, because all of the bottles are discounted much off their list price. And once you get it, you're going to be over $100, and then you're going to get free shipping as well. So this is a good option for, like I said, long-term drinking, or if you got a few people in your house. So we basically tailored it so that, you know, like with the kits, you can get the amount that makes sense to you. You've only got $8, you could still take part. You don't need to spend. You know, we didn't grow up with a whole lot of money, and we wanted to make it accessible for everybody. Or if you do, and you know you enjoy it, and you're going to keep drinking it, you know, we'd appreciate you buying the 5 bottles, and I'm sure you'll appreciate it once you get it as well. So I'm going to turn back around, and we're going to rejoin Kevin here. Thank you for listening to my little tour and sales spiel.
Good stuff, Jerome. Thank you very much. And all right, that's pretty good here. Let's see if we can we'll aim that camera slightly higher so we're not losing our heads.
No, she cut off my bald spot. It's great.
Oh.
Wait, the whole thing's the bald spot.
Yeah, the same here.
Oh, we're back.
Well, shoot. No, right here. I'll just do it real quick. So
Move. He's our IT guy.
I'm a pretty quite good winemaker, I like to think, but I'm a mediocre tech guy, but I do my best. So, all right, that'll probably suffice for now. Yeah, still cuts off a little head, but we'll be all right. So now you have your V6 Drinking Tree Pinot Noir in the glass. So,
Did the girls get theirs?
no, I don't believe they did yet.
I'm thirsty.
I've got
Yeah, top them off. So,
in charge of keeping everybody full.
Jerome keeps the studio audience happy, keeping wine in their glass. So, this wine, Pinot Noir, organically grown from Santa Cruz region, actually on the mountains towards the bay, from as the foothills of the Santa Cruz Mountains hit the bay. It's right there. Really cool vineyards, super small, Portola vineyards, and these grapes for me express just a lot of fruit, but also a really cool black pepper spice. I fermented them whole cluster and some whole berry to emphasize that fruit, but also to bring a little bit of herbaceousness, a little bit of weight and tannins to give it more length and more spice. So you get a lot of fruit, but you also get a lot of, I'm going to keep saying that, spice. And a pinch of earthiness even, maybe. And then I aged this on oak as well as a little bit of cherry wood. That's one of the things, you'll hear this in every episode because I do it. In all my wines, I use other woods than oak. We come from a family of woodworkers. It's something that came up early in my winemaking. Why do we only use oak? And I use other things than oak because I learned that it was basically just stupid tradition.
And we've learned more and more how they really do all tie in together. And we focused on it last week. And one thing that we discovered is that Well, oak and cherry, they generally do, or often do, grow together. There are a lot of oak and cherry forests. And they're, going along with what you're saying about the spice and the tannins and the, more depth of flavor. There are a lot of places where you'll find more your game, your deer or your fowl, your mushrooms, your things that have a lot of spice, that have a lot of funk and umami. They're as opposed to the first ones that are very fruit forward. This has a lot of dark herbs and the things that you would expect in to go along with what would live or grow in oak and cherry forests.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because one of the classic adages in food pairing is what grows together goes together. And I think that's very true in this case, not only for the food pairings, but also for the wood pairings on how I mix the wood with the wine. And who knows if that's because these grapes co-evolved with people in the area who are cooking different foods and trees. I don't know, who knows? The food pairing makes more sense because you see how people brought together the food and the wine. The woods, it's like, I don't know, that's kind of crazy, but it totally matches.
Yeah.
We have a question or comment from the audience.
Tiffany says, by the third sip, it was great. First sip was a little, what is this?
Yeah, it's a crazy wine. So, especially for a red wine, it has high acidity. It's also decently tannic for a Pinot. This is a very young Pinot Noir, made in a high-end style. This is a wine that can age very nicely and will continue to get softer and smoother with time. We're drinking it relatively young. This is a $68 wine. This was not made to drink right away, but it's mostly sold out, so it is getting drunk right away.
The Lucid wines are more like for drinking right away. They're accessible, easy drinking, appealing to a large crowd. Yeah, mine as well. The Voluptuary is more your save and let it evolve, let it get better. I don't buy those because I'll just drink them early as well.
Yeah.
But
and I think
don't buy
the
many.
thing about those intense flavors with Voluptuary is a lot of the Voluptuary wines, it's just this crazy what was that flavor at the beginning. And then you get that second sip, that third sip, that fourth sip, and you're like, wow, I've never tried anything like this. This is a crazy flavor, but I'm kind of addicted to it now. So we find that Voluptuary, while it has a less of an immediate audience, tends to have the more addictive, obsessive followers, that people who like Voluptuary just are crazy for it. So,
and I just want to say, Tiffany, you're clearly on your game. We should have you doing some guest commentating. Those were perfect comments again.
Tiffany and I think it was Tammy asked about your shirt, and they said, "Why is Jerome Maggie today?"
I as well as we do all these wacky pairings, weed pairings, Kama Sutra pairings, wood pairings, literary pairings. While not talking about it, I actually dress along with the lineup each week. If you notice that one week where I had the tailored Calvin Klein coat, that was of all Voluptuary lineup. And the week I had cargo shorts and a baggy wrinkled shirt, that was a Lucid night. I had my Women's March for the Mother's Day. Today being a drink and draw, and me being, director of arts and crafts here, I wore a shirt that I had made myself. So this is, my goddaughter she plays indoor soccer, and I like to be that embarrassing goddad that shows up and cheers too loud and goes over the top. So I made myself a little homemade jersey. This is actually her handwriting on a little badge. I traced it over. And then on the back, the team she plays for is the Galaxy Bears. So I put that on as well. And it's not only got a little galaxy going on there, but it glows in the dark. So you'll see me wearing this around a lot on my deliveries. Yeah, I'm in full delivery gear right now.
Yeah.
So when Maggie comes to your door with some wine, don't worry. It's really Jerome,
Yeah.
dressing ridiculous.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Jerome just made a sign for our winery, so you can now find us. We're in this warehouse district where you'd never be able to know it's a winery, but Jerome hand made our sign, so you can now see where we are. He's also hand making some A-frames, so you can see what we got going on there.
And a lot of them I do it same as with the packaging, where I upcycle. This was an old shirt from something else. We've got a planter outside that I made out of a picnic table. The sign was the old sign, and I flipped it around and repainted it. So try to turn, actually the A-frame was made out of the inside of a couch I took apart. So
Freaking awesome. So that's, I mean, we try to match our ethos as often as possible. We just got an electric bike for deliveries, you know, just everything try to match what we believe in. So that being said, we're 45 minutes in here. Let's get that fourth wine in our glass. So we're going to pour this Syrah, and while we're sipping on this, I think it's time for another drawing book show real quick. Seems like a good time for it. And while these guys kind of get their stuff ready and pop up, I'm going to just quickly introduce you guys to this wine. This is our L5 Primal Syrah. This is probably one of the heavier Lucid Syrahs. And it is Lucid wines in general. And there we go. And it is very dark fruit, a lot of spice, some earthiness, and a lot of weight to the wine as well. This is one of the more wines that, while it has all these quirky elements of my winemaking, is in some ways closer to a mainstream style wine. This got 92 points from Wine Enthusiast, a mainstream wine magazine.
that seems like a lot.
I think that's a lot. That's a lot of numbers. I don't know if it's out of 200 or what, but yeah. So that wine, you know, for them to rate an organic natural wine is really weird. So this is like the closest thing to a normal wine I've ever made, but it's pretty tasty. Let's see some cool coloring book stuff now.
All right. So I kind of skipped around. Last I was working on the flower section, but I decided to start filling in the body of the fish. I started with some blue spots here, orange, and then slowly kind of merged the orange with the blue and the green. And I'm not sure about the resolution, but with Prismacolors, like I was saying earlier, these color pencils, it does really allow you to blend them together. And so here it is so far.
All right, smiles, miles now.
Okay. So here's my desert scene. You can see it's kind of
Yeah, that's cool.
it's like a hazy desert day. And then I'm bringing some of the colors from the desert down into the mandala down below. You know,
I love it.
yeah.
That was me.
Now I feel like, I don't know, like going up after those two. This is what I got. Just kind of
pretty
fill it
cool.
in little color designs. A little more geometric than free flowing.
So again, post your photos in the comments, and yeah. So I hope you guys like that wine. We're getting into a much darker, more lush style wine.
Yeah,
Very
real
rich.
deep.
Yeah, super deep, super full-bodied. This wine, I used some cherry on, but I also used a decent amount of maple wood and a pinch of hickory, as well as some French oak. So a lot of interesting wood influences, but so much of the intense flavor of this wine doesn't come from the woods. The woods are subtle, they're spice on the food. The main ingredient is these grapes from Amador County, from a really cool vineyard, Parrot Estates, and just super dense, intense wines. I'm sorry, it's now called Parrot Estates. It was originally called Chapman Vineyards, but really cool grapes, super dense, intense flavor. So yeah, that's that wine. Let's see. So life pairing for this is a sexy night out with your girl or guy or both. And music pairings for this are Killing Me Softly by the Fugees. Very sexy song. I think this is a sexy wine, if you can't tell from my pairings. And on that note, my literary pairing is from Osho, a poet, philosopher who really spoke on sensuality connecting us to existence. And he says, the sensuous person is liquid, flowing, fluid. Each experience and he becomes it. Seeing a sunset, he is the sunset. Seeing the night, dark night, beautiful silent darkness, he becomes the darkness. In the morning, she becomes the night, the light. She is all that life is. She tastes life from every nook and corner. Hence, she becomes rich. This is real richness. So, yeah, I think that's just speaking to the idea of like connecting to being in the moment and the sensuousness of everything.
interesting that you chose that for the L5 Primal. Not that it's not a deep wine about like embracing the moment. All of your wines are about kind of grasping life, but voluptuary, like the actual term for what that means, is not just like a made up term that sounds sexy. It actually means something along those lines. Somebody that just enjoys the simple pleasures and lets some of the the background bullshit that we all obsess about that doesn't really matter fall away off your shoulders, and just it's almost like a hedonist, but without the negative connotations. It's just about grasping life and enjoying it to the fullest.
That's spot on. And that is one of those really cool words that it's like, no one that I introduce my brand to knows it's a word except like English professors. Like I literally met an English professor. She was like, "Oh, voluptuary. That's a really great word. How did you decide that?" So it does mean that. It means connecting to the sensuousness of life. So not just sensuality from like a sexual point of view, like sensuality from the sense of like taking the fact that we are alive and existing, and that we can taste, we can touch, we can experience existence through our senses, and giving that the attention it deserves, really understanding the value of that, and going like, don't just chug this wine, like think about it, smell it, connect with that.
Be here now.
Be here now, Ram Dass style. So that is our L5 Primal Syrah. And pairings for this, I immediately go to mushrooms and dark sauces, some hoisin sauce, or, darker meats if you eat meat. If you don't, definitely your stinkier cheeses. If you don't even do cheeses, if you're vegan, then this is definitely mushroom land. This is your dark sauce land. This is your drunken noodles. This wine is definitely for richer style flavors, more umami.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. It can go with a lot of different, meat pairings or non-meat pairings. Like, not the same, like, light, summery, citrusy fruits as the earlier ones, but I could see it going with stone fruit, plums, or like your dark fruits, grilled foods and
like
meats.
A plum sauce, that would be good.
Yeah, that would be very good. Plum sauce and duck.
Yeah, oh man. Okay, Jerome's a really good cook. When we are able to launch the tasting room, we're not going to have food here. It's not going to be a restaurant. We're a 1,000 square foot warehouse. We're a 2-person business. We can't do a restaurant here. We don't even want to. But we might just do random barbecue and food that you guys can eat when you come visit us, because Jerome's an awesome cook and everyone should taste his food.
And it makes me happy when people taste my food. So.
Right? And I mean, good food, good wine, two brothers. Seems like a good match. So, that being said, let's move into the L8 Wanderlust Red Blend, the last wine on your lineup. So grab that last vial or last bottle if you're doing the bottles. Thank you, Jerome. So, this wine, it was my idea of going for just a really intense blend. You look at my voluptuary blend. I did Pinot and Grenache. It was like this off-the-wall blend of, lighter style blending. This wine is like, no, there's nothing subtle here. This wine is all about intense flavor, intense ripe fruit. It's blackberry, it's plum, it's jam. I also use tons of wood on it. A lot of oak, so you get a lot of vanilla, mocha, caramel, smoke. I used maple and hickory, so it brings in extra richness and smokiness. And this aged, it's a non-vintage wine, so it has a lot of really heavily aged wines that have more of that, dried, smoky, spicy, earthy characteristic. So it's just like all the flavors intensely all at once. There's no subtlety here. It's a super intense wine, but whenever I'm making my wines, no matter what, I want them to be smooth and fun to drink. So this wine, while having intense flavor, is smooth and fun to drink, which is, I think, a good part of the reason why it's our most popular red wine. It's both complex enough for the fancy folk and laid back enough for people who just want a tasty wine.
It's my personal favorite, and I think, as opposed to the rosé, which, as I was saying, it kind of ebbs and flows. That one isn't the most popular during the dark months, and when it gets hot, it flies off the shelves. Similarly with the Wanderlust, because of those deep, dark, smoky, jammy, like really rich flavors, you can drink it during the summer, although it'd probably be, you know, when you have a windy night or late at night sipping as you go to bed. It is a perfect winter wine. It's almost got that whiskey effect where it just kind of like warms you going down. It's got those, you know, pleasant, like smoky smells of a campfire or perfect, you know, char marks. And it's a wonderful wine for when it's cold, and it's like a, you know, it's a warm blanket to wrap up in.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That pretty much describes my life pairings. For me, it's, you know, being adventurous and traveling, but specifically stuff like camping under the stars on a winter night or something. Or maybe not a winter night, but a cool night. Maybe a campfire, you know, that kind of vibe.
The relaxing, the denouement.
Yeah.
The Kama Sutra pairing for this one was your post-sex cigarette, because it was your relaxing
I love that.
afterwards, you know, like
That was
wine.
good stuff. Okay. We have a question or comment from the audience.
Tammy says this is my favorite tonight.
Ah, all right, awesome.
And a quick side note, because I have a lag on my end, so just to touch real quick back on, Tiffany is asking, are you going to use the outside parking lot area for the tasting room?
Yeah, so for those of you guys who, you know, a lot of you guys have now started to do pickups. In the past, we were only shipping. To backtrack a little bit, we're this tiny little company. We launched last spring, digitally only, mostly just to friends and family. I was only making 30 barrels a year the first year I made wine. And when I released last spring, we sold out most of that vintage in the first couple of months. So when we then continued and slowly grew, you know, we got into a bunch of restaurants and bars, and it was crazy because we're this tiny company that was just taking off. We were in 30 places around town. Sacramento Natural Foods Co-op just took us on, and we decided to launch this tasting room at our tiny little warehouse, this little 20 feet wide by 50 feet deep warehouse in industrial district of Sacramento. The only thing close to us that you'd even think about is like breweries are in this area too.
There's a pot shop right over there.
There's a pot shop. There's Device Brewing. So I mean, it's a pretty cool area. And if you need some fasteners for your industrial materials, you know, they're nearby too. So
It's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Get some wine, get some, you know, beer, get some weed, get some screws.
it sounds like a good Saturday night to me. So we have another question or comment.
Well, no, just that Tiffany also said that she could see food trucks happening.
Yeah. So no, Tiffany's on point. You're seeing into my mind. So basically, the idea was we were gonna launch our tasting room on March 28th, and COVID hit, so we couldn't. So we launched our virtual tasting room instead. But the long-term idea and plan, once we can reopen and things actually, you know, get back to normal-ish, who knows when that will happen, but when that happens, we are going to have a tasting room bar here. It's what you're seeing here, this little bar, me and Jerome standing here, it'll be about 4 times this wide, but this will be our bar. You pop into our warehouse, we're here with barrels at our back, pouring you wine, you can taste through the wines. Tons of parking outside in the industrial parking lot, like infinite amounts of parking, because there's like 40 businesses here. And then we're also going to get food trucks coming here. We're going to have our musician friends are going to come perform, like you sometimes see on air for our live videos. We're going to have big parties. We're going to have small private tastings. So we're going to do it all here. It's going to be really fun. I can't wait for it. I mean, I started rambling there because I'm just so excited about it. But
Yeah, as you can see, we've got plenty of leftover space. We're just going to keep like adding more options and building vertically. So.
yeah, and that's to the question of, are we going to expand into the parking lot a bit? We'll definitely put out some tables on the parking lot so you can like hang out outside and when it's good weather. So that is the last wine, and it's been awesome doing this live tasting with you guys. Thank you for joining us for these 5 wines. Does anyone want to show any last coloring book stuff or any last announcements, Jerome?
We probably should show the coloring books to end. I don't have any outro this time, other than to say, you know, if you have anything other than like, you know, if you want to get involved and get a subscription kit, or be an artist for one of the upcoming gifts, or be involved as, you know, a guest, contact us. We're open to any kind of new idea.
Yeah.
So just reach out if you want to get involved. That's what we're all about.
Yep.
And then I'm just going to briefly show this because the girls are outpacing me quickly. There, what I got.
Yeah. And okay,
My hand hurts.
one last thing before they show theirs, I'll mention as well. Next week we have a really cool live tasting. It's a great lineup of wines. The theme to go along with the wines is going to be food pairings. So we are going to send out suggested food pairings that you can get from any supermarket near you, anywhere in the U.S. basically, like straightforward stuff that you can find anywhere. We're going to suggest those pairings. You can go buy those pairings to match with it and taste our wines with it. So check that out. You can order those kits. Order it by Wednesday within California or surrounding states, and we can ship it to you. If you're in the Midwest or something, order it as soon as you can. And then on the 30th, we are having our circus party, which is going to be similar to our virtual tastings, but in between each wine, we're going to have a circus performer on camera doing fire spinning or magic, or, we're going to have a musician, all sorts of cool stuff. It's going to be
mermaids.
Really awesome. No mermaids.
Too bad.
Or maybe we will. Yeah, we have, we won't. Anyway, okay. So Karen, you can show your.
All right. So here's my final piece. It's almost done. I've just got a couple flowers left to complete.
That's really awesome.
So-
I love the way the colors do blend, like the blue from the tail going into that green from the branches. That looks really good.
Yeah. So this book isn't out yet on the market, but it will be in couple weeks, so keep an eye out. It's called Magic Ocean. So
Nice. Thank you, Karen. All right, and we got Smiles Miles.
so it's not finished. Ta-da!
You really did a great job of choosing the colors to go along with that Pueblo view there. Almost
Yeah.
Thank you. Ta-da!
Thank you, Smiles. So, thank you, Karen. Thank you, my lovely girlfriend, Smiles Miles. And thank you, Jerome, for joining. And thank you guys all for getting the kits and joining us for this live tasting. Hope to see you again next week, or for the circus party, or for one of our tastings after that. Or, hopefully, for when we actually get to launch our in-person tasting room and pour for wine for all of you. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you guys again soon.